Yo, what's good? It's your boy Druid, and today we're back in with another banger video. This time about the time I consumed so much cannabis, I hallucinated Dormammu and the army men from Toy Story. I hope you liked the video. Drop a like down below if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's dive right into the video. So this was a Friday night, one of the many infamous Friday nights that I had my senior year with a bunch of my good friends, in which we would all get really fucked up together. Half the time I would end up laying tweaked out in one of my friends' rooms, and they would hopefully make it to their bed, or they were joining me on the floor. This night, I actually don't remember when this night happened. I have no clue what date. I just know the year was 2023, and I presume around October. Yeah, I don't know. I guess because I hallucinated and I saw supernatural things, I'm feeling like it's closer to a Halloween thing just because it's a Halloween vibe. But hey, I'm kind of stoned. Alright, back on topic. This is a Friday night, and usually we were all collected after class or something because we didn't really have things to do after our academic classes normally, so it made it very easy to link up and formulate a plan without really making a big deal about it. In essence, for whatever reason, my friends and I, we were not able to get in touch with each other, and it gets to the point where it's like past dinner, almost 8 p.m, and I'm like honestly not really sure where my friends are. They like haven't responded to text, and I'm like, oh, I figured that they have like other plans that I like completely obnoxiously forgot about and have just been blasting them, and completely tried to blame the Benjamin instead of taking responsibility for my actions. So I just proceeded to continue ripping my pen. I believe it was a Modus Medusa pen that was quite lovely. So anyways, I'm chilling in my room, staring at the walls, just trying to stave off my boredom and debating if I should just fall asleep and have the lamest Friday night ever and just, go hard all Saturday or just take the L. But my friend Tucker texted me and he asked me where I was, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we've been waiting for you. We thought yada yada. Complete miscommunication. But Tucker, Oswaldo, and a couple other people, I'm gonna describe our limited perspectives, but it's pretty safe to say that we all had a similar experience because we all did about the same amount, and we'll get to the 3 different reactions to the edibles that we took. So I have a SMH moment, and then I march my ass up the stairs in Birkenstock, very knock on the door, rap on it. Oswaldo opens it, and that's when I remember about the edibles that Oswaldo had. Oswaldo and I like to go to the same shop together, and I had gone with him the last re-up and hadn't had one for a couple of days, and I was just like really craving to go stupid, just completely sent out of my mind. I had absolutely nothing better to do and could not fathom anything more entertaining or stimulating or enjoyable than that. So I barely step in the door, like don't even see anyone, just like that is, and I'm so high at this point, I'm already stumbling, like muttering. But in retrospect, Oswaldo must have been pretty sent already, even though we both got substantially higher, like 2 or 3 times higher. Me, this night was one of the highest I have ever been, y'all. THCP edibles do something different. Comment down below if you think the same. What strains do y'all prefer your edibles in? And anyways, back on topic. Oswaldo ends up just handing me his keys and says, you know where it is, and sends me on. And I go to the place where I assumed that it was, and I kept on opening the door, and it was not, like, from where I was standing looking diagonally down, there was no way that it was there. Mind you, this drawer is like not even 4 inches tall, right? Like, it's not a deep drawer. So I would assume that I could like see the shits, right? But no, oh my gosh, like I'm doing a double whammy because I gotta be discreet about this. But I know I'm very high, and my body high is just to the point where my limbs are not quite correlating with what I am intending for them to do. My depth perception has never been great, but especially when I'm intoxicated, that it just goes out the roof. And it is what it is, man. It is what it is. You've got to respect the power of the cannabinoid. That's weird. Anyways, so I refusing to get frustrated because I know if I do, then I'll just make a big scene. That'll be a big hassle. Big consequences for me and all my friends involved, or severe punishments. And I am not the kind of guy that likes being told what to do. But even more do I not like being told what to do is taking a consequence. I like avoiding my problems. Either way, I figure I have two choices. Either I give up, pretend that I took it, or just say like I decided not to, give him his keys back, and then just go hang out with the rest of my friends. But the tweaker part of me says, hell no, buddy. You need to consume 175 milligrams of THCP. That's what needs to be the main event of the evening. That needs to be your Sugar Sean on your UFC fight night. It is intended for greatness, and only good things will expound from this. Yada yada yada. I was making up a bunch of poetic nonsense in my head to convince myself that I was doing an absolutely genius situation. So I, very much in Druid form, walk back and completely stutter, lose all ability to vocalize what I am intending to communicate. Did not go so well. Oswaldo, he goes, hey bro, I'll help you. He goes right back. I follow him in just to see for future reference. In the stoner community, we share. And share not meaning like I take advantage, but share is in when one of us are high and the things are put away, we don't always want to get up and go get it. It's more convenient, and it might be safer if the sober person goes and retreats it. Anyways, Oswaldo reaches down, pulls it out right from the drawer that I could not see it in, and it was like right out of my perspective. Either way, I pop my 175 milligram gummy. It slaps. The weed taste is definitely there, but the gummy goes down smooth. It wasn't granular. Like, it was a decent gummy for what it was, you know? I follow Oswaldo back into the room. I shake up with everyone else. Yakamura, Landon, Tucker, Miles. But at any point, we didn't really talk too much, because when I got in the room, I hadn't realized how much time had passed since I had left my room at like 10 p.m. to the now like 11 p.m. that I was now in Tucker's room. I just threw out on the beanbag chair. Oswaldo's sitting like right beside me, and
we're just staring at the moon ball projecting on the ceiling, and all of the stars and crescent moons dance around the ceiling in green and blue hues as the shadows flicker against the corners and add depth.
And we were just talking a little bit and admiring the patterns. And Oswaldo had a speaker as well that sounds rather immersive. He starts playing some Tame Impala, and it just adds to the ambiance. It's just quite the vibe. Miles goes on random rants and wrestles with Landon, and Miles thinks he has a chance, but Landon completely outmaneuver him and outhold him. He was the dominatrix in the setting, one could say. Not that Miles was being submissive in any way. He was putting up a good resistance. It wasn't like Clone of the Wars size resistance, but maybe Capital Raid resistance, like maybe that one, like enough to be memorable. You get the feel. Anyways, I get kind of restless and start smacking my pen again, and I start passing it around. Most people decline, but Oswaldo is chain smoking it for a minute, and I get kind of annoyed. And then all of a sudden, right as I'm about to say that this edible isn't hitting, it hits me like harder than anything else has. It's very relatable to like getting in a car wreck and that sudden stop where you jerk up in your seat, because that's exactly what I did. It felt like something was pushing me back, and I just jumped, like flinched upward forward. It was the weirdest sensation ever. I have had falling sensations like off psilocybin and stuff. It's kind of funny, you can sometimes like tap into it and initiate free fall, and you're just like but just sitting in a living chair and feet are propped up, like you're perfectly fine. It's like a roar of laughter. At this point, the moon ball, the stars and moons and abstract light shapes had been pretty consistent and like not changing, and vision had been pretty clear. But I started blinking because the projections from the moon ball, they started to transform, and in the center there were like two dark pits, and it was because of the way that the lights were set up in this room and the way that the windows were. They made it really dark in the center because there's two windows on opposite sides, and it made two shadows. They converged in a way to where I perceived it to look like kaleidoscopic eyes that were blue and green, and it was entrancing but also terrifying at the same time because I didn't know what to quite perceive that the intentions of this thing would be. Like, I didn't know if it's like something that you would spray as an emote in Fortnite, like if it's literally just like a sticker on the wall that's not going to do anything, or if it's like a supernatural head that's about to have a chit chat about how I'm going to be in his purgatory for the next 20 million years. You capiche? That don't sound quite too hot to me. I mean, I don't know if that's a hot take. If eternal torture is not a hot take to you, I mean, like, to my masochists out there, you do you. I'm not really one to judge. I am a promoter of self-care, but I'm also not one to really have any expertise in the psychological realm. So, as I'm entering Jupiter, as we might call it, I'm laying against this futon, prop my back up against it, and all of a sudden, out of my vision, these green army men start falling. And at first it's just like a weird like shadow thing that just sweeps across, and it's just like a bunch of shadows as if these weird candy cane was gonna rain down. And then as my vision started to focus, I started to see that it was parachutes attached to green army soldiers, but at their feet they had a piece of plastic connected that I realized was the same color and material as the rest of their body. At first I was kind of nervous and apprehensive, but then I started to laugh and enjoy it, and I started to try to explain what I was seeing to Oswaldo, and he was not getting one lick of it. I think I was able, because of the amount of times I spent for I don't know how long literally saying every single word what I was seeing. I don't think we were having the same reaction, but I think his was so euphoric that he could like empathize with it. So me and him, we're just tweaking and giggling and doing what all good things to do at the day's end. And out of the corner of my eye, I hear like some shuffling, and then the music turns off, and it's kind of shuddering. And so shuddering, I flinch, and those green army men start to fade. And some of them had like become really close and realistic, looking closer to like the Statue of Liberty at that point than a plastic army soldier, but they started to look closer to like those raindrop candy corn things from before. They started to rearrange themselves into these parallel lines, and the pits started to reemerge, but I was distracted to really make a conscious thought about it because Miles was getting supported to walk by Tucker and Landon as well, and I'm pretty sure Miles didn't, like, he's not a smoker, and that's why he had like waited till this point to get high, because there was plenty of access to pens and stuff in our area, but not many people consistently had edibles or were willing to share, especially ones that don't have access to automobiles. And our dorms are so small that there's no way to have a stash, you know, to like really make a market. So in essence, I'm not really understanding what's going on because I was having a really good time. The truck thing, although it had like hit me at a climax, had only plateaued and was slightly going up, but because I was getting used to it and acclimating to it, I was really starting to enjoy it, and I started to feel like I could control myself again. That being said, the visual aspect of the Dormammu face is what it would come to be, it still remained, but I could think more clearly, and I was able to talk to Osvaldo without nudging him and trying to like sign language, some caveman Homo erectus hand gestures, But I asked him what's going on, and Oswaldo says that Miles isn't doing good and that he's starting to green out. And I'm getting kind of worried because the thing was, at the time when he said he was greening out, I was so euphoric still, and I had so much serotonin and dopamine going off in my brain, all firing simultaneously and just setting me on the most happy ride ever. I could not comprehend or perceive greening out or having a negative effect. Therefore, I just laid back down on the futon, and for whatever reason, when I laid down, it skyrocketed. My high did. I lost all senility. I became completely senile and was completely engulfed in the blue and green and purple version of Dormammu. And at that point, I mean, I'm not kidding you, it looked like it was refracting and refolding at like in the scene where Doctor Strange confronts him in the first movie. Like, it was very intense, and for my luck, he didn't open his mouth. He didn't speak, and if he did, I think I might have greened out because that was so overwhelming. But I just stayed there quiet, and I don't know how long I sat. Maybe an hour, maybe 2. But at any rate, I just slowly slumped over, rolled over onto my stomach, and fell asleep using my hands as a pillow, and Oswaldo was still laying on the futon. I woke up at 7 a.m. that next morning, still in my clothes, fucked up like messy hair and bad taste in my mouth from everything, and I just looked around me, and every single one was slumped. Like, Oswaldo was right next to me facing the other direction on his stomach as well. Tucker was like in his bed, but like legs spread almost to a split, only in his boxers. And I think Miles made it back into his bed. So did Landon. I just picked up myself, cleaned up, and then napped until about like when lunch was served, and came down for the rest of that. I figured by now if some of y'all be interested to see some of what I've been cooking up. Here's a listen. For those of y'all who've made it this far, thank y'all. It means a lot. As far as my socials, if y'all want to see anything, there's Discord, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I'm tweeting or Xing bangers. It's Druid everywhere. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.